Good Friday morning. See what the Panamanian president has to say about Marco Rubio's statement about the Panama Canal.
And Ball State will host the annual dance marathon tomorrow.
And find out how President Trump plans to lower interest rates. Get the coffee ready and open up those eyes. You're waking up with Cardinal Weather.
From Ball State Unified Media, you're waking up with Cardinal Weather, live from the Ball State Weather Center.
Good Friday morning to you. You're waking up with Cardinal Weather. I'm Sophie Schick.
And I'm Emma Basinger.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is walking back claims about a new agreement with Panama.
I'm very
Ships
surprised
can use the
by
Panama Canal for free. Rubio later clarified the U.S. expects to have free use of the canal. Panama's President Jose Raul Mulino rebuked the U.S. over the original post. In his amended comments yesterday, Rubio said the U.S. should have free access to the canal because it is obligated to protect it if it comes under attack.
Thousands of people have fled the Greek island of Santorini as seismic shocks continue after an earthquake hit at the weekend. The island, one of Greece's most popular tourist destinations, has been rocked by about 550 aftershocks since the initial quake. Officials say the tremors could continue for many more days or even weeks. Today, the Greek Prime Minister visited the island and met with emergency services amid an ongoing state of emergency.
It has been rather cold this week, and personally, I'm not a fan of it.
I'm over it, to be frank with you.
Absolutely, I'm ready for spring. Noah, what do you have for us?
Yeah, guys, another cold start to this Friday morning. Most of our regions still below that freezing mark here. 25 in Muncie, 23 in Fort Wayne, 21 in Kokomo. Still not a single point on our board above freezing right now. If we take a look here locally, we're going to see those temperatures still hovering right in those mid-20s, 25 in Muncie, 21 in Hartford City, 24 in Anderson. Now, if we take a look at the radar, not a lot is happening, just a few high clouds moving in across our region. But as that sun rises here in the next hour or so, we're going to expect those to burn off across our region. As you're headed out the door today, temperatures really aren't going to move that much here, still in those mid-30s, 35 by lunchtime, 36 by 2 p.m., and still down to 34 by the time we're moving into our afternoon hours. Now, what I'm tracking, a couple wintry mix options here we've got moving on. Saturday, rain snow mix, especially into early morning Saturday. Cooler winter temperatures as we head into next week, especially we're really not going to make it out of those 30s. And then midweek snow chances as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. I'll have all that more coming up my full forecast.
All right, thanks, Noah. And coming up, find out how the BSU Dance Marathon helps raise money for children in need.
That's after your Weather Now. Welcome back. Tomorrow, Ball State's Dance Marathon will kick off, raising money for Riley's Children's Hospital patients. Newslink Indiana's Alea Smith reports its annual events with new hopes.
Ball State University Dance Marathon has raised more than $5.3 million for Riley Children's Hospital since 2008. Nursing major Lindsay Burning graduates in May and will leave her 4-year legacy of being involved with the event behind her. She feels this year will be the best because more people will be able to pitch in. That's because fewer people could take part during the COVID years. She expects more Riley kids and Ball State students to participate.
It's a lot more diverse. It was diverse before COVID as well, but since it kind of threw the world in just a crazy thing, you know, so now we're trying to rebuild our dance marathon, but now we have so many student organizations. We have sororities, fraternities, different clubs and stuff that are involved in Dance Marathon now. So
BSU DM partners with other Ball State clubs and organizations. Many fraternities and sororities get involved to help raise money for Riley. With more people, there will be more events. Zoe Pierce, a junior in charge of BSU DM content, says there will be theme rooms this year. One is a mental health room, and one is a room for Riley families.
We're going to have a mental health room for people if they need to take a break and relax in. We're going to have one of those set up in the rec center, which is something we've never offered before, as well as we're going to have a room for our Riley families to relax in if they need, and that's going to be a themed room as well, which is super exciting. That's why we have these beanbag chairs, is for our mental health room. And that's something that we've never offered in the past that we're offering this year that all of us are super excited about.
Dance Marathon members say that they're excited for this event, and it's more about the smiles, and the money is just a plus. In Muncie, Aaliyah Smith, Newslink, Indiana.
The Ball State University Dance Marathon will take place at the Joanne Gore Recreational Center Saturday at noon. Admission is free and you can register on their website at bsudm.org. They will release the amount of money raised after the event.
Here's a shocker for you. Most food advertised during football games isn't good for you. While that may be news to none, it serves as a good reminder to stay a little salty while watching the Super Bowl. Researchers found about 10% of the commercials during a typical NFL game advertise food, and the median amount of sodium in that food, that was just over 900 milligrams, or more than a third of what you're supposed to have in an entire day. The worst offenders were fast food, but experts say a lot of prepared foods you buy at the grocery store also contain high sodium. And even if you think you're eating at a high-quality restaurant, well, chefs there sometimes use a lot of salt too. High levels of sodium can boost your blood pressure and worsen heart disease. The study was published in the journal JAMA Network Open. You know, walking out the door today, I really regretted not putting a coat on.
Yeah, it was rather brisk this morning here.
Absolutely. What do you have for us on that?
Yeah, thanks, Emma and Sophie. Not any warmer temperatures, at least here in Indiana. Really cold across the United States, though. All the way up in Bismarck, we're looking at 4 degrees as of right now. Down in Florida, we are looking around 63 degrees towards Atlanta, that area. Los Angeles also looking at 58 degrees, so 60s in that little green area. A little bit colder up where those pinks and blues are at as well. Now looking at today's highs, we talked about those 60s. That's going to be in Los Angeles and mainly in Florida as of right now. All the way up in Billings, it's going to be 11 degrees, really cold. And then in Seattle, 39 degrees, really cold across the United States. And then all the way in New York, oops, going the wrong way, all the way up in New York, we're looking at 29 degrees right there. We'll talk about a little bit of snow accumulation that's going to be happening over there as well. The current watches and temperatures, I'll step off the screen for a little bit for you guys to look at. Lots of pinks and blues and purples. What that means is there's going to be lots of wintry effect and snow happening around the cross country, obviously with those colder temperatures happening. Let's take a little closer look at it right now. New York, we're seeing a little bit of that winter advisory as we were talking about a little bit earlier, and then that lake effect snow, that's what that little green is right here, a little bit of lake effect snow is going to be happening there. And then wind advisory is also a big deal over in New York as well. Now we have a little bit of greenery. What this is a little bit of flooding. That's a little bit of aftermath from what we had over the past couple days here in Indiana with the sleet as well as the rain. This is going to be affecting more so Kentucky as well as a little bit of West Virginia. Now looking over into the northern part of Texas and then as well as New Mexico, it's really dry and humid, so we have a little bit of a red flag warning over there. We also have a little bit of a fog warning as well with the dry humidity and all of that. Now looking over towards the northern part of California as well as Nevada, really, really cold over there. Lots of snow going to be potentially hitting California, as well as another wind advisory for them as well, affecting this little brownish, tannish color as well. Now looking at our radar, a little bit of snow happening all up in northwestern part of the United States. I also talk about a little bit of this snowy mixture happening right here in New York as well. Looking at our precision cast, talking about that little bit of snow that's happening right there. And then as we go into the weekend, lots of rain happening in the southeastern part. And then that snow that I was talking about in New York is heading that way as well. Guys, really cold across the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. Personally, I wish I was in that Las Vegas sort of area. I wish it was about 70 degrees here.
Yeah, I'd rather take those Florida temperatures, those higher, low, mid-60s.
Yes.
Way better than the 25
degrees
degrees here.
I would 100% take 60s over 30 degrees.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I guess at the end of the day, we got to listen to that groundhog. I guess he ended up being right, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, those little little something.
Yeah, a little bit cold.
Always seeing his shadow. I personally, on that Monday when we started off a little bit warmer, I thought it was going to stay that way.
I know, little spring break tricker right there, a little 60 degrees.
Yeah, I was a little fooled. Emma, how'd you feel about that?
I hung up my winter coat.
Oh.
I've never been
You're
more
just going
cold
to
in
put it
my
away,
life.
you're probably
I've
like, you know
never
what,
been more
oh,
cold.
spring's here finally, but you're like, I don't know about that.
I wore a t-shirt.
Yeah, last night actually,
On Monday?
last night I folded up my winter scarf, so maybe in my head I'll manifest that it stays warm, but it's not really looking like it, guys.
Yeah, a little too cold. I hope to see maybe the 60s here in the next couple weeks, but I doubt it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Gavin. And coming up, find out how President Trump plans to lower interest rates.
That's after your Weather Now.
Hey, welcome back. The time is 8:12 and you're taking a live look at the new Performing Arts Center. All right, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has a new plan in the fight to bring down historically high interest rates, bypass the Federal Reserve. In two interviews this week, Bessent said the Trump administration wants to focus on lowering long-term interest rates, which are largely influenced by the yield on the 10-year U.S. Treasury note. The Federal Reserve's decisions, on the other hand, have a more direct effect on short-term interest rates, which control borrowing costs for Americans. President Trump said on his fourth day in office he will demand interest rates drop immediately. Bessent is assuring Wall Street the administration isn't trying to twist the Fed's arm, but rather carve out its own approach. The chief market strategist with Carson Group, a wealth advisory firm, points out the administration can only influence yields indirectly with fiscal policy and deregulation.
2 U.S. lawmakers are trying to ban government workers from using Chinese startup DeepSeek's artificial intelligence chatbot on official devices. Republican Congressman Darren LaHood and Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer are set to propose legislation Friday to ban DeepSeek on government devices over national security concerns. DeepSeek's new advanced AI model called R1 has the same capabilities as top American models. The model is also cheaper to train and less power hungry. It has fueled concerns that the U.S. could fall behind China in AI.
All right, and like we talked about earlier, it is going to stay cold, unfortunately. So, Noah, what do you have for us?
Yeah, guys, as we start off this first Friday of February, it certainly doesn't feel like spring out there, but it's very clear across the eastern United States. We have this high pressure moving in behind a cold front that came through the region last night. Really didn't bring us any precipitation, just a few clouds. You can see the remnants of some rainfall that brought some severe weather to parts of Kentucky and Tennessee last night, but overall things remain very quiet, only a few snow showers near the Great Lakes in the central part of New York. Like I mentioned, as we zoom in here, we see only a few high clouds moving into our region here, but those are going to burn off pretty quickly after sunrise. No precipitation seen throughout east central Indiana as we head through the 8 o'clock hour. Now, if we take a look at our temperatures out here, we see most of our regions still not above that freezing mark. 25 in Indianapolis, 25 in Muncie, 21 in Kokomo, and wind chills are going to make it feel even colder if you're headed out anywhere for one of those 8 a.m. classes. You might want to grab that jacket, maybe even a scarf this morning. Feels like temperature of 17 in Muncie, 15 in Newcastle. The cold spot feels like 9 degrees in Kokomo, so definitely a little bit brisk out there for this first week of February. Today, though, we're going to have mostly sunny skies throughout the day, a high of 34 degrees. Those winds out of the northwest at about 10 miles an hour are going to make it feel a little more brisk out there, gusting up to about 25 miles an hour. Now, Precision Cast showing a little bit of that sunshine peeking through, especially this afternoon, before overcast skies move in, and our next weather maker appears overnight into tomorrow. We see here Saturday 2 a.m. we see these mixed precipitation values still moving into our region. A little bit of snow, a little bit of freezing rain, and some ice in there. Not expecting major impacts, but if you're traveling early Saturday, definitely something you're going to have to watch. But that moves through our region throughout the day before the main band of rain moves in Saturday afternoon. Could see an isolated rumble of thunder or two in here, but overall still just going to be kind of a downpour. But the good thing is it is going to clear out by Sunday, leaving us with an overcast sky, especially if you're headed out anywhere for those Super Bowl parties on Sunday afternoon. Now, speaking of the more long range, we have several different weather systems that look to impact or at least impact our region across the next few days here. We see Tuesday morning, right now, snow still looking to stay well south of our region, especially south of that I-70 corridor, but still something we're going to have to watch here, especially as we move through the next few days. Could impact plans next week, so make sure to stay tuned here for more information. Now, looking at that 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, we see the cooler air would support the fact that we might see some snow here. See, in east central Indiana, just a little bit below average, much more below average out in the Dakotas, Montana, and then a much warmer setup across the U.S. Southeast, especially ports in the Florida Peninsula, so it could make for a much more warmer day down there for the Super Bowl in New Orleans. Like I mentioned, taking a look at our 7-day forecast, we see 30s across the board here, 35 on Friday, 37 on Saturday with that mixed precipitation, 35 on Sunday, 33 on Monday. Those snow chances Tuesday and Wednesday, still we're going to have to watch, really too early for accumulations or anything like that. And then 29 on Thursday. So, 1 week ago today we had 52 degrees. And we're down to about 35 today. So that spring mirage was just that, a mirage.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always crazy to me how we can have the record high in the beginning of the week and all of a sudden we're in below average temperatures. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I can't believe we went from 60 degrees to a freeze warning.
Yeah, sadly, we're still going to look like winter for the next couple of weeks here. Still not going to look too warm. You get that 160-degree day and you're like, maybe winter is over, but not today.
Absolutely. Honestly, I hoped that 60 degrees hit on the Super Bowl, but too bad. Thank you, Noah. And coming up, check out how our breakdown of Super Bowl 59.
That's after your Weather Now.
Welcome back to Cardinal Weather. I'm Brooke Fowler to Sports. This week on What's New in the Shoe, Dakota Atwood catches up with the Cards' new leader.
Dakota Atwood here with newly Ball State head coach of the football program, Mike Yurmovich. Coach, let's get into it. How's the offseason been like so far?
It's been good, man. Obviously, we're getting to know our players, which is important. That's the most important thing, is recruiting the guys that are currently on the team and selling them on the mission and our schemes and what we're going to do. And then obviously we have our staff put together, our football staff, our strength staff, and it's the 4th week of the semester now, so the guys are getting pretty far along in their classes, so we're kind of getting into a routine here.
But how do you put Coach U into Ball U?
I don't know, I haven't thought about that, but it's not just me. It takes a whole community to have a good football program, from our staff to our strength staff to our administration's been great, our academic support, our compliance. They have a big role in us being able to sign these guys because they have to look at the transcripts. They've got to make sure that everything works good with the NCAA. So it's not just one person. It's not even just the people in this building. It really takes the whole community. And then when we get going, we need the campus to come out. We need Muncie to come out and support our football team. So it takes everybody.
Anything you would like to say to the fans? You just mentioned you want Muncie to come out, but give them a little spring tidbit of what this team is going to not necessarily look like, because you don't know their true identity right now.
Yep.
But what are you excited for the most going into this season that you'd like to tell the fans?
We're going to be fun to watch, man. The students here in the community is going to be proud of the football team we put on the field because they're going to play really, really hard. They're going to be very, very physical, and we're going to be really disciplined. It's going to be a fun brand of football to watch. We're going to be exciting on offense and really aggressive on defense. And that's how you win football games in this league, but it's also a really fun brand of football to watch, whether it's early in the season or those action games on Tuesday and Wednesday nights as we get into late October and November.
Speaking of the action games, how excited are you to be coaching an action game? I know Andy Reid has said he loved watching action. How excited are you?
It's fun. I had opportunity to coach at Northern Illinois 3 different times, so I've been a part of them before. They are fun. They are unique. The guys really like being on TV like that, where everybody in America can watch them. And usually those action games are, you play your non-conference and then you get into the MAC play, but by the time you get to Maction, those are the games that decide who's going to win the conference and who's going to get to go to Detroit and play for it. So every game means a lot, but the further you get in Maction, the more important those games are because they're all late season games.
Once again, special thanks to Coach U for allowing us to get the inside scoop on the Cards. This Sunday, the NFL season comes to an end as the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Kansas City Chiefs in a rematch of the Super Bowl 57. The Chiefs are looking to three-peat and win their 3rd consecutive Super Bowl, while the Eagles are looking to get on top of the mountain for the first time since 2018, where they beat Tom Brady and the Patriots. The Chiefs are led by quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who had 26 passing touchdowns and led the Chiefs to a 17-1 record as they started the season. The Eagles are led by quarterback Jalen Hurts, who had 21 passing touchdowns to go along with 18 rushing touchdowns this year and led the Eagles to a record of 17-3. But the Eagles are not just Jalen Hurts. They also have standout running back Saquon Barkley, who led the NFL in rushing yards with 2,005 yards in the regular season and has a total of 2,447, including the 3 postseason games they've played so far. But for me personally, I'm going to have to pick the Kansas City Chiefs in this game. One thing the Chiefs do very well is stop the run, ranking 9th in the NFL, so I think they could slow down Saquon Barkley and limit Jalen Hurts in the play-action game. Then I can see the Chiefs being crowned Super Bowl champs and completing the three-peat. But make sure to check out the game this Sunday at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time on Fox. Now coming up, we've got your Breaking Down the Science, but that's after your weather now.
Welcome back. King Charles, and Queen Camilla plan to visit Pope Francis in April. Their visit will happen as the Catholic Church celebrates a special Jubilee year, which takes place every quarter of a century. The Catholic Jubilee Year, or Holy Year, was established in the 14th century and is 12 months focused on forgiveness and reconciliation. 32 million people are expected to make the pilgrimage this year. King Charles is known to be deeply faithful and regularly attends services. He has met Francis a few times already, but this will be their first since Charles acceded to the throne.
Thinking about getting a new pet? Muncie's ARF is a no-kill shelter working to dissolve the issue of homeless pets in Muncie. News Acadiana's Lily Tavares has more on ARF.
Adoption is a great way to change a life. At Muncie's Animal Rescue Foundation, or ARF, they believe every pet deserves a home. Being a safe haven for animals all across Muncie, ARF takes pride in being a no-kill shelter. Instead, they aid unhealthy animals in need of help to reach their ultimate goal, adoption.
Terry wanted specifically the cat house to be as much like a home as it possibly could be. So we've had cats that have started out as little ferals here and lived their whole lives. We also have a sanctuary home for dogs, so dogs that are not adoptable due to behavioral or health reasons, they can live their whole lives here. Both staff and volunteers, we all love the animals so much they feel like our own.
In an economy with prices rising, it can make it extremely difficult to financially support your pet. The inability to afford a pet has caused many pets to lose their homes. This issue has affected many cities and towns, including Muncie. ARF works actively to resolve the problem.
But yeah, definitely there's a lot of homeless animals in Muncie and Delaware County, and so one thing that we're doing is, we try to accept owner surrenders when we can, and we accept stray animals that people have found.
They have a cat shack and their dog building Jeff's house, where animals are nurtured to health until they can find their new forever home.
I think that we owe it to these animals to adopt rather than just go out and buy one. Because they're here because of us.
The Delaware County community can help support ARF and their mission by fostering, adopting, or donating.
To see pet profiles, adoption stories, and more information on how to get involved, follow their Facebook and Instagram at Muncie ARF.
All right, and let's talk a little bit about tornadoes. Tornado season's coming up. Last spring, I got stuck in the basement of Burkhart because there was a tornado warning, and that was unfortunate.
Yeah, I unfortunately woke up from a nap. Let's toss it over to Jay for breaking down the science.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Emma. And yes, that tornado damage will be featured here. I will be breaking down the Enhanced Fujita, or EF scale. So what that is a tornado damage rating system based on estimated wind speeds, which are based on the damage the tornado causes. But it's a lot more complex than you might think, just seeing a building blowing away and going EF5. No, we have to look at everything, including all the building, every anchor, every nail. Starting with EF0, we have a picture here from a Yorktown tornado in September of last year, just outside of Muncie. As you can see, the construction building with a metal outer wall was partially collapsed, and the inner wooden frame is actually still standing if you get a closer look. And what that means is metal collapses really easily with very weak tornadoes, and with the wood frame still standing, that is consistent with EF0 damage. Moving on to EF1 here, you can see in this image, this is an image I took in Newcastle, Kentucky from an EF1 tornado. There's a well-built home that is up to the building code with the roof mostly gone, and the sidewall is also starting to collapse. And there was also, just off the picture there was a poorly built metal barn that completely collapsed, but it was very poorly built, just kind of slapped together. This was consistent with EF1 damage. Moving on to EF2, this is a picture I took in Hendersonville, Tennessee, back in December of 2023. You see a home collapsed with one wall left semi-standing. This is a lot worse than it actually seems. Or this looks a lot worse than it actually is, pardon me. This home was not up to the building code whatsoever. It was a very old home, completely lacking an anchor system and bolt system, and there was also minor tree debarking. This is all evident as EF2 damage. Moving on to EF3 damage, we have an image here from that tornado that Sophie and Emma were talking about back in March of last year in Winchester, Indiana. This one is a church that is completely destroyed, semi-well-built church. Bolts and anchors, a couple of them not quite up to the code. This was 1 mile away from being an EF4, so that is the EF3. EF4 we're getting into the more violent tornadoes now. This is an image I took up in Alberta, Canada, in a town called Didsbury from an EF4 tornado. A 22,000-pound combine was rolled onto the house. That is a massive combine. The home was completely destroyed with just rubble over the foundation, and that is all that is remaining. This home was completely up to building code. This is an EF4. Finally, EF5. I do not have an image to show you of an EF5. That is because the last one actually occurred in 2013 in May in Moore, Oklahoma. So thankfully, we have not had one in a long, long time. This is similar to EF4, but only the foundation is remaining, which means even the rubble is completely blown away. And now there you have it. That is the Enhanced Fujita Tornado Rating System.
All right, Noah, what do you have for us?
Yeah, taking a look at that 7-day forecast here, we're still stuck in those mid-30s, especially through the weekend and into next week. 37 degrees on Saturday. That rain and snow mixing into our region. 80% chance of rain, especially with some freezing rain. 35 on Sunday, 33 on Monday. Then we see another system move through Tuesday into Wednesday. Right now, the snow still looks to our south, but that could still change as we head into the forecast. 32 on both days, and then finally Thursday, a high of 29. So still staying in winter for now.
Thanks, Noah, and that's all for Cardinal Weather this Friday morning. Thank you for joining us.
We'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your Friday and a fantastic weekend.